Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Todd Talks. When Todd talks, people listen. Hopefully. Okay, that was a terrible Darkseid. I'll do my better Darkseid impression later. Uh, Darkseid is. Alright. Today, very excited because this is the preview for the upcoming Death Battle Season 5 finale between Thanos and Darkseid. I don't know why. I've always loved Michael Ironside's voice, Darkseid. Okay, like I know it's probably because of the animated series, but anyway. But yes, this is the finale. This is the finale of season 5, the most requested death battle in the, let's call it, the current era, because there was Goku versus Superman and some others that were on top, and now they're done. And so at the top of the list, the very top, Darkseid and Thanos. So it's finally happening. It is Super 3D. They've been teasing it for a while. It's Super 3D. And we even got Omega Sparks, who did Fight Like a Devil music for Ryu and Jin. And then, of course, Back to Rise, which he did for Killer Instinct, which was brought over for TJ Combo versus Balrog. So they got Super 3D, super music, super awesome. Let's get right into it. All right. In the Marvel Universe, there is a race of beings called the... was it the High Evolutionaries? I can't remember. I just blanked. I am so sorry. Okay, let's just skip that part. So there was a race of beings called the Eternals, and the Eternals were meant to be the epitome of life. They were immortal beings, incredibly intelligent, incredibly strong, and they were meant to be born with the best genes ever. But one of them had a gene from a not so good race that the High Evolutionaries also created. Again, I apologize if it's not the High Evolutionaries. That's just stuck in my head for some reason. And that being was called Dion. But you all know him as Thanos. Now, ironically, or not so ironically, Thanos was not born bad, even with this deviant gene in him. Instead, he was actually very well liked. He was very respected, he was incredibly intelligent, and most importantly of all, he did not want to kill. But there was someone around that saw a little bit more potential in Thanos, and as he was to be called, and guided him towards this path of death and destruction. And this person was Death. Yeah, like the literal embodiment of Death. Death was infatuated by Thanos and guided him down this path. And at first, Thanos wasn't having it. Okay, he had it, he liked it, he wiped out most of, pretty much all of Titan, and then he went and became a space pirate. And he literally was the biggest player in the universe. I kid you not, look it up. And then he came back to Death and decided to kill all of the people he had played with, if you get my drift, and just to prove his loyalty to Death. And when that still didn't work, he went on a massive crusade to basically conquer the entire Marvel universe. And through the process of this, I mean, this isn't even talking about the Infinity Gauntlet yet. He got a cosmic cube, used its powers to almost take over Earth and other planets, and then he started stealing the what they called the Soul Gems at the time, which you all know what those are, and tried to take over the universe that way, but failed. But then he realized, oh, I'm not using these to their full potential. So he created, which I didn't know at the time, the Infinity Gauntlet. Yes, Thanos created the Infinity Gauntlet. I really wish I had an Infinity Gauntlet right now. It would have been so cool. All right, cosplay friends, help me here. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Unless you want to. No, but he created the Infinity Gauntlet, put the Infinity, now the now known as the Infinity Gems or Stones, there, and then became like basically Lord of the Universe, including, yes, doing the snap and wiping out half of the life in the universe, all in an attempt to please Death. And again, this is still only the start of his story. I mean, that's sad that him snapping the universe halfway out of existence is, still the start of his story, because we're still not even talking about half of his continuity. The Infinity Gauntlet storyline was really old Marvel. I think it was like 60s, 70s. Okay, so like we're still missing the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and now 2010s. All right, that's a lot of history, and we're just getting started. So, but to summarize, obviously, Thanos has had numerous attempts to take over Earth. He has had numerous followers, numerous armies. He's had an army of ships. He's had an army of pirates. He's had the Black Order, which are now like super canon. Now they even have their own miniseries. That's pretty cool. And Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, yeah, baby. So Thanos has a lot of his disposal, but most importantly of all, Thanos is just a boss. All right, Thanos is the guy that you don't want to mess with. There is a reason he is feared by everyone. I mean, this is a guy who went down to planet Earth, faced Black Bolt, one of the strongest Inhuman, more or less. The long story. He took, if you recall, Black Bolt's ability is that he can't speak because he creates massively powerful sonic waves from his voice. I mean, even a whisper can send a guy careening off of a platform a couple miles away. Thanos walked up to Black Bolt because Black Bolt knew where one of his sons were, and remember, he has to kill his sons to please death. And he took not one, not two, but 3 bolts from Black Bolt's Black Bolt bolts. Black Bolt bolts. 3, no, I can't say blast, it's another B. 3 shots. There you go. 3 shots from Black Bolt, and one of which was point blank. And Thanos didn't even flinch. Okay? And then he basically, all but killed Black Bolt. He didn't kill him, but it was close. And this is a guy who went up against Thor, freaking Thor, with Mjolnir and the Power Gem. Didn't even flinch. Didn't even flinch. This is a guy who went up against Galactus and Silver Surfer and took their shots. Didn't even flinch. Comics, everybody. So what this really boils down to, ladies and gentlemen, is that Thanos is one of the deadliest foes in all of the Marvel Universe, which you all knew, but it gets so much deeper than that. Even without the Infinity Gauntlet, he has the power of teleportation. He's got telekinesis. He can apparently alter matter on a certain level. He has a basic form of magic. It's not clearly stated how much, but he has been able to curse people, lift curses, cure people with magic. It's one of those things. He can fly, but he can't fly. It's really complicated. It's because sometimes they've shown that he can't fly. Like he was stuck in space one time, and so he couldn't fly. But then another time they showed him flying without aid, and it's just like comics, right? So, but he's got a lot of power, and his throne, which he personally built himself, because he's a genius. Because he's eternal, and he has had journeys all over the universe. Thanos is a super genius level intellect. He even said himself that the only being that he's met that might be smarter than him is Bruce Banner. Think about that for a second. All right? So he has built so many things to help him. He's got energy projection from his hands. He can even infuse his own body with energy to make himself stronger, like he needed it. And it just goes on and on and on. Okay, here's straight up, okay? Like I do for all these prediction videos, I go dive into the wikis and respect threads, which I really appreciate those who made them. And I look up as much as I can. Just for this battle, Darkseid versus Thanos, it took me an hour to feel that I knew enough about these characters, and I knew enough about them already, and I still had so much more to learn. I mean, these guys have been around for so long. So yeah, I mean, let's just talk about some of the things that Thanos has done, and like I found out in a respect thread. So like I said, he's beaten Thor, he's beaten most of the Avengers. He snapped the universe halfway out of existence. He's fought he's basically fought like every single major entity in the Marvel universe. The embodiments of the various forms of life, like beauty, hunger, speed, all that kind of thing. He's fought the In-Betweener. He's fought Galactus. Let's see. I think he fought Eternity once because Eternity stole death, and you don't do that. Nobody puts death in the corner. Hi-oh. He's fought the Magus, which is a very big bad. He's fought Adam Warlock multiple times. He's fought like literally. Let's see. The Annihilation Wave. He helped. He helped the Annihilation Wave. Oh gosh, he helped the Nihilus. That's the thing about Thanos. Because he's been around so long, and because he's been on such this one-sided journey of pleasing death. I say one-sided because it's literally one-sided. His whole goal is to please death, right? So everything he does is to please death. And so after so many years of this, he's become very bitter, and he will actually do things that he would never have done before, just because he's bored, right? He's bored, and he'll go and do these things that just boggle people's minds, like the Annihilation Wave. He helped Annihilus because he was tired of it. He was tired of how balanced the universe was and how everything that was going on was so boring and tedious. He'd seen it all before, literally, and it's just like, okay, I'm gonna help the Annihilation Wave. Let's take out a chunk of the universe and let's see what happens. He's that what do you want to call it? Apathetic, nihilistic. He he's pretty bitter, and so that I would honestly say that's one of his greatest weaknesses is that he he's not as determined as he once was. Okay, there are times when he is the most determined person in the universe, like when he's trying to please Death. He even tried to kill his future self just to please Death. His future self had won the universe, had defeated just about everybody, and yet he couldn't defeat this one guy. He calls in his younger version, or comics, everybody, and so the future Thanos and the past Thanos, which is our present Thanos. Are you following along? Teamed up to beat this guy who was actually the Silver Surfer, powered by Mjolnir and the Annihilation Wave and a bunch of other things. Beat him. Then Death comes along and goes, "Oh, you're not done yet. You have to kill each other." And so past Thanos almost kills future Thanos, but then realizes that future Thanos is weak, which is not tolerated. So he goes back in time to make sure that he does not become that future Thanos because that future Thanos is weak. I'm not saying that again, okay? I'm making that clear right now. Oh gosh. Like I said, comics, everybody. Now, despite comic convention saying otherwise, Thanos has actually died a good amount of times. One of the most classic ones is when Drax the Destroyer, who Thanos killed his family, if you recall. Um, he literally impaled Thanos through the chest, which is actually a very interesting thing because Thanos has a healing factor, but he totally died there. It's stated that Death actually resurrected him after that attack. So, if he can be paid to the chest, he has a weakness. And Drax obviously isn't the greatest, what do you want to call him, threat in the universe. So, I mean, he's strong, but he wasn't empowered by a gem or anything. He just literally he literally ripped Thanos' heart out. In a more recent comic, Infinity Wars, not War, Wars, or was it Infinity Warps? Who cares? Gamora killed him with, I think, just the power gem. I think it was a little vague how she killed him, but she literally just like sliced his head off, and he let her. He totally did. Not that she needed the help because she was powered anyway, but he died. And then in my personal favorite Thanos death in Secret Wars, Thanos went up against Doom, who was basically a god, like full, well and truly. Just walked up to Doom, said he was going to beat him. Doom was like, "Do you have the Infinity Gauntlet?" And he goes, "I do not need the Infinity Gauntlet to beat you." And Doom goes, "Oh!" If you ever watched Scorpion pull a spine out of someone's guy from Mortal Kombat, basically did that. So, yeah. Thanos can be a bit cocky. He can be quite arrogant, and at times he does not mind stopping just to please his boredom or whatever. But still, despite all of that, Thanos is one of the people that everyone fears in the Marvel universe. And so, if you try and face him, you better beat him in a snap. All right, Darkseid. Let me tell you a story. There is a place in the DC universe called the Fourth World. The Fourth World is very different than the regular dimension of the DC universe, and yet it inhabits it. And once upon a time, there was these beings called the Old Gods, these massive entities that had power almost unimaginable. And during a massive civil war, these old gods killed each other, basically. And in their presence, and because of that, they create a new wave of entities called the New Gods. Yeah, no points for naming these, Jack Kirby. And one of these new entities was a being called Euxus. Or I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I forgot to rewatch the Death Battle preview. And Euxis had a lust for power, and so he literally tricked his brother into accidentally killing himself so that he could get into the Omega effect, get all of its power, and emerge as Darkseid. Now, ironically, I actually like this. Darkseid is the name he took based off of the Apocalyptian, which is his world apocalypse with a K, Apocalyptian lore, is the most feared god of their world. Darkseid, no one was willing to take that name except for him. And so Darkseid was born. And Darkseid has waged wars across the galaxy, across the universe, all in the attempt to conquer everything. He wants to conquer life itself, which is actually ironic because Thanos actually wants to conquer death, if you know what I mean. So, don't get me started. So Darkseid had started a massive quest, and one of his biggest conquests that he wanted was to conquer New Genesis, which was this separate world full of new gods, ruled by a man named High Father, or Izania, and which I didn't know was his name. See, that's why I do the research. So his Apocalyptian forces went up against the new gods, and they battled for so long. They were basically deadlocked, and he eventually created the peace treaty so he could focus on other exploits. And by exploits, I mean the rest of the universe. And this actually led him to Mars, where he met the Green Martians. And the Martians believed in what they called the life equation, a life equation which really guarantees the blossoming of life itself. So Darkseid, being a bad person that he is, realized, well, if there is a life equation, there must be an anti-life equation, a way to undo all life. And so he set up on a new quest to try and find this anti-life equation. And this set him to Earth. And here on Earth, he realized that the human race in one of the incarnations actually has pieces of the anti-life equation in their minds. So he went to conquer Earth to try and ensure that he got all the pieces of the anti-life equation. And then he met this guy named Superman, and I think you pretty much can guess what goes on from there. But despite his numerous defeats at the hands of Superman and the various members of the Justice League and the Green Lantern Corps and the New Gods, Darkseid, I almost said Thanos. Actually, I'm not sure how dominant Thanos would be in the DC universe now that I think about it. I mean, if you had the Infinity Gauntlet, obviously. But anyway, Darkseid is one of the most feared villains in all of the DC lore. I mean, we're talking about a guy who makes the. He once went. Okay, do you remember Doctor Fate? Okay, Doctor Fate serves a body of entities called the Lords of Order, and they have enemies called the Lords of Chaos. Darkseid went to the realm of the Lords of Order and Chaos and freaking intimidated them. He told them to shut up, and they did because Darkseid is. And then, of course, he has proved his might many times against every single major DC hero you can think of, and even some you can't. He has gone and beaten Infinity Man. He has backhanded Wonder Woman. He once punched Superman into the Source Wall. And for those who don't remember, the Source Wall, up until recently, was the literal edge of the DC universe. It was meant to be the end. Nothing goes by it. And if you touch it, you become a part of the Source Wall. And one time, Superman actually threw Darkseid into the Source Wall, and thus imprisoned him there. But then Darkseid later on basically did the same thing, even reciting the very line that Superman had used when he put him into the Source Wall. Nice little turnabout is fair play. He has broken a Green Lantern ring, which is, remember, the embodiment of willpower. He has taken full blast all of the Green Lantern energy that Hal Jordan had at one time. Didn't even phase him. He has fought he's fought the Justice League without much injury. One time, Wonder Woman and Aquaman actually stabbed out his eyes, and he regenerated because he can. He's fought he has fought and killed many of the new gods. He has fought and killed many versions of Superman. Like this one time, he actually went to alternate dimensions and started killing various Supermen because he was trying to find the true Superman who would be his ultimate rival. Long story. And so he killed Superman. And then in Earth 2, when Darkseid went to conquer that world, he killed Superman, killed Batman, killed Wonder Woman. He corrupted Wonder Woman to become one of his Furies. And then when Supergirl and the new Superman Val Zod came in to try and stop him, whoosh, yeah, Darkseid is okay. And then, so as for his powers, he is a new god. So he has incredible durability. He has incredible strength. He has incredible speed. He doesn't get praised for his speed a lot, but he actually is fast enough to actually escape Superman's vision. And remember how fast Superman can see. And this was pre-Crisis Superman. Superman literally said, I can't see him move. How fast is this guy? So then this is when, remember, pre-Crisis Superman was, infinitely strong, like literally infinitely strong. So if he can see him move, that proves how fast he is. He also has the ability to manipulate his size because as a new god who lives in another dimension, the new gods are actually the size of about stars, which goes to show how big their planets are. And so when they go to another world, their boom tubes actually adjust their size to hide their true mass. Let's just call it that. Their true mass. And so, but he can also adjust it on the fly, and not blink and still be as fast and as strong, if not stronger, than he was before. So he has teleportation. He has mind manipulation. He has telekinesis. He wants to use his telekinesis to subdue Superman. Again, pre-crisis Superman. So, and you keep saying, well, why don't I say pre-crisis and post-crisis? Well, Darkseid is one of the few entities, alongside Dr. Fate, who actually survived the crisis that condensed the multiverse. He remembers all of it. He remembers stuff from past timelines that he wasn't even technically a part of. And so that adds to his vast intellect, and he is a genius. He is a renowned leader of the forces of Apocalypse. It's said that when his armies go and conquer a world, they are very rarely, if ever, turned back. One of the few times is Earth, but even then, he's technically conquered Earth before. In Final Crisis, which is very important in this death battle, he got the anti-life equation. He got the anti-life equation and then used it to conquer the minds of everyone by, wait for it, putting the anti-life equation through the internet. And so everyone would see it. Everyone became a servant of Darkseid. And then through a very, very, very convoluted set of events, including a miracle machine and Superman singing, I kid you not, they were able to defeat him. But think about all that had to do just to beat the anti-life equation to defeat Darkseid, who at that time had become an all-powerful form. See, that's the thing. Darkseid has apparently, and continuity is a little sketchy on this, there's two different forms of Darkseid. There's the true Darkseid, kind of like True Fate, where he has become all-powerful. And this happened when he became infused with the body of Dan Turpin. Okay. And then there was Soulfire Darkseid, where he was, let's just say he was superpowered. But in both of these forms, he was actually able to take on the power of the Source. The Source is literally the embodiment of life in the DC universe. Nothing should be stronger than the Source. Darkseid was stronger than the Source. That being said, Darkseid is not invincible. He obviously has been beaten by Superman. He has been impaled through the chest by his son Orion. Someone getting impaled through the chest. I think I've heard that before. Batman shot him with a radion bullet, which is designed to kill new gods like Darkseid. And though he withstood the shot, the poison led him to being killed by the Black Racer, who was supposed to be under his control. And yeah, and then another time he was actually killed, and this was in the New 52 timeline. He was killed by the Anti-Monitor, who used the Black Racer combined with the anti-life equation, which the Anti-Monitor already had, and then killed him. But then he was reborn, and he got powerful by killing more gods, and Darkseid is. So, now here's the question. Who wins? Now, I am very proud of Death Battle for openly admitting that Thanos will have the Infinity Gauntlet and Darkseid will have the anti-life equation. So now the question becomes, which beats a which? Isn't that up for interpretation? So here's the problem. Both of these guys can teleport. Both of these guys can go through time. So both with and without the time stone for Thanos. He actually has a chair that lets him go through time. his throne lives go through time. Darkseid can not only go through time, he can travel to different dimensions, which, as I noted before, because he traveled to various points of the multiverse to try and kill a whole bunch of Supermen, which he did. So even if Thanos was to use the Infinity Gauntlet, there's no guarantee that it would affect Darkseid, even with the snap. Darkseid, without Infinity Gauntlet, has actually willed people out of existence. He is that powerful because of the Omega Effect. The Omega Effect is one of his most powerful things. I didn't mention it before because, well, it's the game changer. The Omega Effect was enough to incapacitate Superman. It was enough to wipe certain people out of existence, including new gods. He once wiped out multiple of the New Genesis gods and his own friend, Darkseid, with a piece of the Omega beams. Superman himself cannot escape the Omega beams. You can dodge them, you could trick them, you cannot escape the Omega beams, and they will literally rip you from the inside out. There's also the Omega Sanction, which will actually send you through various timelines where you live, die, live, die, live, die, each more excruciating than the last. This is what happened to Batman at the end of the Final Crisis. So between the Infinity Gauntlet, the anti-life equation, and the Omega Effect, these guys are pretty dang balanced in terms of, let's just call them reality warping abilities. And of course, True Darkseid also helps with that. So where does this end? Where's the tiebreaker here? Well, they both have telepathy, so that doesn't work. Even though I would say, based on what I read, that Darkseid is a little more powerful because he actually has the mind to power to possess people, and he actually controlled 100 people at once. I don't think Thanos has ever, based on what I read, Thanos has never been that powerful with telepathy. Darkseid actually has the ability to manipulate matter on a grander scale than Thanos, as far as I can tell, because he actually was able to create bodies for himself even after he died. Comics. Let's see. Then there's the strength. I would say they're kind of equal on strength, except for the fact that Darkseid lost, or sorry, Darkseid has beaten Superman, and Superman I know has often been compared to Thor, but I think Superman's stronger than Thor, even with Mjolnir. I'm sorry, I just do. So he's taken hits from Superman, who does not hold back. Superman does not hold back when it comes to Darkseid. Okay, even the whole "I don't like to kill" rule, he will occasionally try and break that because of Darkseid, because of just how terrifying Darkseid is to him. All right, and even Wonder Woman has, lost to Darkseid, and Wonder Woman is stronger than Thor, or is better than Thor, as Death Battle has stated. So if we're going by all comparisons. Now, obviously, and again, even though Thanos, yes, has taken on Galactus and the Silver Surfer and the In-Betweener and all of them, I just think Darkseid has this. Even with the Infinity Gauntlet, I don't think that he can do it. Now, yes, both of them can die. Both of them have lost to, let's call them, lower tier opponents. But here's the difference: Drax was not a god. Orion was a god. Orion was literally stated to be by a prophecy to kill Darkseid. And yeah, and he did, but then he came back because he wasn't really dead, and that kicked off Final Crisis, among other things. At one point in time, this is gonna be really complicated, but roll with me on this. Darkseid infused Jimmy Olsen, yes, that Jimmy Olsen, with the power of the new gods. In fact, he actually empowered him with the combined will and power of 10,000 new gods. Now, it is stated in lore that in new gods' power, if you combine the power of two new gods, their power increases tenfold. So multiply that by 10,000. Holy crap. And Darkseid beat him. Totally. Emphatically. And the only reason Darkseid lost eventually was because of how... no, I'm not going to explain that. It is not important. But he beat Jimmy Olsen, and then through a very roundabout way, he then lost soon afterwards. But that's it. They have to do supreme trickery to defeat Darkseid. And most times, Superman will just try and get him off of Earth because he can't beat Darkseid. All right? And so where it comes, and then this one time, Darkseid actually fought Highfather for 7 days, who is every bit his equal, fought for 7 days, wasn't even tired. 7 straight days, not even tired. Now you could say, well, wait a minute, doesn't that mean he can't beat someone who is his equal? No, he's beaten people his equal. He has killed Highfather in the past. A recent arc proved that, actually. So, It's going to be close, and I really, really look forward to this battle and the breakdown and the explanation. But when it comes right down to it, Thanos exists, Darkseid is. So that is my pick. That Darkseid. Almost said Thanos. No, Darkseid. Definitely Darkseid. Waiting for the Omega beams to strike me down. So with that, I am ending this episode of Todd Talk. Who do you think is going to win this epic season finale battle, Thanos or Darkseid? Let me know in the comments below. And I look forward to doing my reaction video no matter what happens. I can't wait because this is going to be really fun. So, hi, thank you for watching. If you made this far, I know you're listening, and I will see you around.